Welcome back to Valley Boys TCGCK here, and we are back with some more Godzilla gameplay for set 2, and we are continuing from our little locals run, doing some testing here. So we got Gigan here on the left and the Red Rage on the right, a little mix of new and old. Red Rage was one of those that I think really started popping towards the end of the set 1 run. I always thought that blue was going to be the big thing. I think evolution is just so good, but people started figuring out just get red and aggressive, get big and scary, and then run with it. So we see Gigan do the invade 1, get the rage, and then just pass turn. Not much to do turn 1 usually. And red is just gonna put the gas, invade 2, triple rage, the classic red rage going here, triple. Then we see the end of turn effect of the Godzilla 1954 gets another rage, so we're already at a threat 25,000 threat at the end of turn 1. Gigan's turn now. Now we forgot to reset the rage, but we'll fix that right now. Gigan, I think, is such a good toolbox. That the 4th level of Gigan, I think, is such an interesting card, being able to manipulate rage, which is potentially a really good counter here if they can get there. So here we see the invade 1, and then they go ahead and drop Manda on area 6, and then end their turn, and it looks like we're missing the end of turn advance. He resets the rage that he should have earlier. Forgot to advance, but we did fix the rage. That advance should have happened, and the reason he put Manda at 6 was because end of turn advance would line him up, and Manda would get the boost for being next to it from its own effect, as well as the Gigan set 1 will also give another counter boost to that Manda. So really we should be at counter 5,000 here. And so we see rage on the right side here. We see red, I should say, go ahead and push up. They bring in the Varan. Good cycle card. Since they're in area 6, they will be able to use its awakening effect, which is draw 2, trash 2. Helps to kind of filter the hand. It looks like he had a lot of repeated strategy cards he didn't need. And then another classic triple rage here. And then end of turn, do we get the 4th rage? We do. We do another 4 rage turn, and then advances onto area 7. And it looks like it's turn for red, right? So green here needs to start getting some counter set up, and it's gonna be tricky. That threat of 25,000 already is a lot to overcome. So we'll see the invade 1 here to line up with Manda. And Megalon comes down, a pretty good vanilla to come down, and then King Ghidorah will show itself. King Ghidorah is pretty good here. Green has a lot of options to play now, with red being at area 7, gives them a lot of things to set up for the counter. Now, the counter power should be not enough, actually. So we want to say we're in danger, but technically the only one that really puts us in danger is going to be if blue was at 7. Blue is the most dangerous color to leave at area 7. Red and green currently don't have ways to really blow up the 8th area and invade 2 for the victory the way blue does with the Burning Godzilla strategy card. So green doesn't have too much pressure right now. They just gonna start setting up some pieces, and next turn they can get the big counterplay. Red needs to make themselves really big here, and they may have already gassed out some of the monster cards they had in hand, because they don't seem to be rushing for the rage they were previously. But from this angle, he does have a lot of monsters in hand. So we see another Varan come in, and it looks like we got another little bit of a misplay here. He draws 2, but he does not discard 2. So he eventually double heat raid, honestly, in this heat raid charge here. So we see him enter another Godzilla, or burst. to get that free rage from the burst. Should have gotten a free rage from the burst. Looks like we have another misplay. And then we see him toss to invade 2, but technically it's only an invade 1. When invading, trashes the top to destroy something. He does, and then he just tosses the rest of his hand to rage up. Looks like a rage 6. Technically he should be at 7 rage. So I think that's a bit of a weird situation here. Maybe he just ran out of rage cards there, but he should have one more rage from bursting in. But see, without tossing those 2 Baron cards, perhaps his threat should be lower, because he wouldn't have 2 of those monster cards potentially in his hand. So here Green's going to play the new Godzilla 1972, another nice little counter, giving us some more counter ability. King Ghidorah's battle card here also gets boosted from us being for the Awakening 6 effect. So now we see double King Ghidorah set 1 King Ghidorah. So this is the classic, one of my favorite cards from set 1, because I loved playing King Ghidorah, a red variant. Just because being able to use Godzilla landing to push your opponent up to area 8 and be able to play this guy, because he's only playable at 8. And then we see Chibi Mecha Godzilla, another good card that gets the boost from being next to your monster card here. And even though red boosted up really big, we get the counter. So yeah, green putting some very big counter numbers out, and then we're going to see the advancement. It's going to lose a lot of counter numbers here because Chibi no longer gets the boost, but we do get we lose the 3,000 boost from Chibi, but we get another extra 1,000 from the battle cards in area 8. And now basically the boost that Gigan gave to Chibi, he now gives to King Ghidorah, and then we get another boost here onto the Godzilla on area 8. So only a 2,000 drop there, not bad. We see another Varan come in, but it won't be able to cycle draw 2, trash 2, because we are not in area 6. We see a burst come in, and now he's going to rage 2 to use the burst effect, or to use the effect of having rage. When invading, I should say, no, he bursts, he rages up twice so that he can use the when invading effect to pop the area 8 Godzilla card. And we get a counter victory here, which is actually pretty heavy on green, because it's going to force him down, crushing his King Ghidorah, and then it will end up crushing the Chibi Godzilla end of turn when it advances. So a very strategic counter here from red, being able to clear 3 battle cards essentially from green, or clearing 1. He clears area 8 and then forces the counter that will clear areas 4 and 5, so dropping the big counter ability here. Red is not that big though. We did not rage for red, but we didn't need to. I think he's smart about holding onto his hand here on red side, because he doesn't need a rage. He can take another counter here to get to his 3rd form and just hold on to some hand size to get the big rage turn in a future push. So we see Godzillasaurus, and enough for a counter. Godzillasaurus will come in handy if we discard the correct Godzilla 91, I believe is the battle card that it recalls. And then end of turn advance, but we do see the counter like we said. We push him to version 3, or to form 3 Godzilla 1974. Gigan is still on 2. Now Gigan didn't, we saw a rage go up for Gigan on its own ability. That's the Gigan 2 does have a rage up ability to get a little bit bigger threat level, but it's not a big threat. Red can counter it early, but I don't think he's really focused on that. And so here we see the big rage turn, the classic red triple rage. And Space Beam comes down. Space Beam, I think Space Beam's a little bit slept on. I think red is focused on rage, but I think like a red hand disruption focus play is very very sneaky play because really limits to what your opponent can do and really kind of messes with their strategy. And I think it's a good counter red, like red versus red. What you want to do is just reduce their hand size. They can't rage as much. So good play there. Red gets themselves back onto area 7. Now, what can green do to stave off the red rush? We do have a good amount of counter. We see a rage up and waiting to see if he finds any more battle cards here. I think he wants to find a battle card to... There we go. There's the Godzilla 91 that we were talking about. That is what Godzillasaurus would cycle back if it were in the trash. We're getting close. And it looks like we are advancing end of turn. Counter power not big enough. Interestingly enough, we are not big enough to only 29,000 counter power. They were at 38,000 threat before we reset the rage. So not enough to counter. So red is going to be pushing, going to be knocking at the door here coming up. And we see a burst 3. We get into the Godzilla 1954 fourth form. Get us a rage and it will clear the board. This is such a good play here from red, bursting into the 54 so they could advance into area 8, activating the effect to clear all battle cards from the field. Looks like they missed their own Varan, I think. Oh, there it is. Okay, good. So they clear everything from the board. And then now he's going to just drop the Godzilla King of the Monsters here. Now, yes, it is an 8, but it does have Awakening 8. It drops its own cost by 4. So your opponent only needs to be in area 4 or higher when you yourself are at area 8. And so we see another big rage turn. Now we are at threat 59,000. And then we see the 20,000 counter because the Godzilla King of Monsters does get a boosted counter ability for each rage you have. So it is for the red rage card, I think this Godzilla King of the Monsters is probably better than Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. We get the counter and the counter ability comes in from us raging up. The more rage we have, the bigger counter we are. So we get to increase our threat and our counter simply by raging. And so now we got Gigan pushed back. Gigan is gonna need to set something up to counter on area 8 to prevent the invasion, potentially prevent the invasion, because one heat ray and it's over here, basically. We can't Oxygen Destroyer because their rage is too high. Looks like we see a rage up here. Now Gigan putting the Godzillasaurus down is a good key move here. And so here he's wanting to play the 4-cost Godzilla on area 8, but the effect of this Form 3 Godzilla 1974, opponent's turn, once we enter, it's going to blow it up. So he can place it anyway, but not on area 8 because it's going to get blown up at the end of turn anyway, or I think it start a counter phase, it gets blown up. So instead he drops the Gigan because the Gigan will be safe. And then Gigan, he's going to hope that he gets the correct discard, and he does, pushing him back to area 7. So here he was, it was a little bit of a mistake on the read there. He says he goes back one spot, and then he reads it, and he's like, wait a minute, like counter go back? And he's like, no, it's one area to go back. So it's one of those things that was misread. He thought it was pushback like a counter, but no, it's not a counter move. It is just a simple area pushback. So the set 1 Gigan does push you back one zone or one area, not counter. And so now we see green go ahead and start setting up some big bodies here to try to get the counter. We get an invade 2, which is going to stomp the Godzillasaurus that he placed, which is a strategic play there. Stomp the Godzillasaurus, and then he'll be able to pull back the 91 Godzilla. But I think this was a problem. He did an invade 2. He should have done an invade 1 to just stomp the Godzillasaurus. He gets that 91 Godzilla on board, which is going to give him a big counter, but he's still not big enough to counter this big 48,000 threat. And we see him rage up, which is, you know, great, so he's not countered. But again, one big mistake here, and let's see, Sun's Godzilla and Sun, the Monster Island is going to protect him from getting his board wiped. But this is the big problem. He did not get the counter, and he put himself to area 7, which end of turn will advance him to 8. And here they're just doing the math, trying to see how much they're at, and he realizes his counter was definitely short. The bite attack is such a funny strategy card, though, being able to get basically the triple rage off the bite attack, because you get the rage for however big your opponent's monster is. And I think that's why he put himself to area 7, so he could play bite attack. But again, I think that was a slight oversight, that he didn't realize, oh, I stomp my area 8 battle card in doing so. And so red just needs an invade 2 to end the game here. So like, again, I get wanting to play the bite attack, but the invade 2 for the victory, and that's game. Red takes the invasion victory. I think a small misplay there at the end, but still a fun matchup. Hope you guys enjoyed the gameplay. Hope you guys come back next time.